Hi there, my name's Jill Roberts and I attended the last meeting of the Older People's Partnership Board on the 22nd of September. I was standing in for Tim Lloyd-Yates as VOSCA representative at the meeting. The first thing that we looked at was the recommissioning of community support services in Bristol. Since the meeting, a document has been produced and there is a consultation out now, and you can see more about that in a link below. But just to tell you a little bit about the things that came up and that were discussed. At the moment, there are 89 providers in Bristol providing community support services. And so the aim of this recommissioning and consultation is to review how it's all working, come up with a new strategy and have clear commissioning intentions. There was a really good presentation on it, very informative. The services include things like supported living, extra care housing, day opportunities, that's day centres and other kinds of day services, day opportunities, community outreach and carers short breaks support. In the discussion, the main things that really came up for people were the issue of day centres, a concern that day centres don't get much funding at all and the numbers of people wanting to access them are increasing. So that was flagged up. And also it was felt important that the needs of carers are taken into account in the commissioning of services. Obviously, the only thing that is kind of directly addressing carers' needs in this is short break support, but there was a plea to just bear in mind carers' needs throughout. And the other thing that was flagged up was the importance of making sure that people have the social contact that they need. So the aim is to focus on meeting people's needs, to be more flexible, a bit less prescriptive, and to ensure that services are good quality and also fit for purpose and value for money. And we talked about the balance between quality and price, basically, and the importance that quality has, obviously. The council has identified some gaps, which include on supported living, the need to meet a range of different needs for people, and to make sure that there are services for different needs. And also having different types of services, and again making sure that there's flexibility. Also the issue of reducing isolation, as I said earlier, that thing of making sure that people have social contact is so important, and I'll talk about that in a little moment some more. So we also looked at we had a report back from Better Care Bristol, and I won't talk ever such a lot about this, but just to say that the aim of Better Care Bristol is to provide services that give better care closer to home for people, to prevent unnecessary hospital stays, and also to keep people independent and healthy for longer, none of which we can argue with. And it's great to see that moving forward. So the aim is to join things up a bit better and to focus on the person, the individual, and their needs. There is now a Better Care Bristol Transformation Board, and there is a voluntary sector There will be a voluntary sector advocate on that board, and so you can see more details below about the election of that place, and that will be happening very shortly. Age-friendly cities, Bristol. Since the meeting, there was a conference on the 7th of October. This is building towards Bristol gaining age-friendly city status by 2020. There's now a report which kind of gives some fantastic examples of best practice happening in Bristol, and it's trying to kind of give a baseline assessment of where Bristol is at the moment on that. And as I say, there's lots of fantastic examples of best practice happening through lots of different organisations and in different ways around the city. But I thought for my report, it might be interesting just to highlight some of the issues that have already been identified. And one of the ones I found really interesting is the fact that fewer older people are meeting friends and family. So less than 40% of older people surveyed said that they had contact with friends and family, and that percentage has been falling over the last few years. So I think that's a cause for concern. Other things that people who in the survey expressed concerns about were libraries, the state of litter and dog fouling. I don't think that ever seems to go away. But then also interestingly, less than 25% of older people feel that they can influence decisions that affect them in Bristol. And less than a quarter of people over the age of 50 were satisfied with job opportunities. The other issue that I felt was interesting was that nearly 70%, so that's more than 2/3 of people, felt that they don't have enough information on advice and benefits. So again, that's clearly something where Bristol needs to be doing better. And another interesting point that came out of the report as it was in draft presented to the meeting was that while 80% of older people in Bristol are happy with local health services, 50% of the people who took part in surveys are not satisfied with local social services. So again, room for improvement there. We also had an update from Bristol Ageing Better. And since the meeting, the Celebrating Age Festival launched at Shed, and the festival is just drawing to a close now as I speak. We had a sneak preview of the Bristol Ageing Better animation, which if you haven't seen, you should check out. And looked at also the fact that there's some age-friendly cities events happening in the Bristol Festival of Ideas coming up in November. So that's pretty much the main points of things that were discussed at the meeting. There was an item about the Bristol Clinical Commissioning Group, but that's been put back to the December meeting.